Sterring, pictures and buttons, is Sterring, they're like Sterring.
Hey, I'm Kunta.
And I'm Peta.
Welcome to Black Sterring Radio, a podcast where we dissect TV shows, films, music, and culture
To ask how black women are represented and seen on screen.
Dumelang Bakayetu, you just caught us in the
Dumelang. Ha.
You just caught up in the middle of a conversation. We're talking about tattoos and Black Ink Crew.
And just all the reality shows from back then. But someone was saying that it made them sad realizing that the people, Extreme Home Makeovers was just a scam. Like it's a big scam.
What was up with
people had to sell the houses. They got into a lot of debt from the electricity bills that are now like
it's
thousands
like
of rand because they do all these crazy renovations. Yeah. So I was like,
Extreme
so many of these
like it was for TV. Hey,
and another one that had bad horror stories.
Yeah, the
Pimp
ones
My Ride.
Oh no,
so you want to be a player?
Yeah. No,
but your wheels ain't flat. Oh, I loved
with Pimp My Ride
with Exhibit. It was always too dramatic. They'd be like, "You like fried chicken? We put a deep fryer in the back seat." I'm like, okay, but like, why though?
2000s, right?
Why though? Even the paint jobs for the car, like, okay, fire. We're gonna put flaming things on the side of the car, and it was just
for a car that's moving.
There's an aquarium in the boot.
There was something else like Pimp My Ride. Also,
stuff.
Then made it like a Pimp My Home or something, and then homes were like people with these like multi-car garages, like what was
not
happening
an evolution
in the States,
but I do want to say I really 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 did I still do enjoy watching home makeover shows.
Yeah, okay, you know what, home makeover shows are hit and miss for me because it's like, I mean, it's the journey, definitely. I loved it when Oprah's guy. What was Oprah's guy? He was so good at it.
His name? Nate.
Nate.
So cute.
Nate was cute.
He was so cute.
When we found out he was
designer.
gay,
yes, a lot of people were upset about that.
But he was so cute and like such a charming,
and
down to earth
flair
guy.
of interior design. And
then you go into the shows. I think I was watching some sort of, because there's a lot of like pull-ups on social media today, like throwback accounts of stuff that was happening in
clips.
the 2000s. But like there's a lot of archival accounts like that,
which I need more of that, and I
Absolutely.
need the streaming platforms or something to bring back archival things like that, because somebody said we should bring back top billing, which I think would be a wonderful idea, because what a time.
Like,
so somebody did like a top, and I'm forgetting the creator's name, but his name, he just did a top billing TikTok. So he's now doing these fun little
It's
and Banang and Bazi,
and
it
Joanne
was nice.
Strauss.
Yes.
And Michael Moore, who was the doctor, but also
it was nice, like home stuff, but like travel, but recaps on entertainment stuff,
and then there's also like the deco, like the homes,
the home stuff. It was really cool.
Homes. It was really great, and the weddings.
Oh my gosh, the weddings. The wedding
when
happening on top billing. I really like that. Oh, you see, there are things where I'm like, oh, we did lose recipes.
Yeah,
because there was a pipeline from like being a presenter to being on radio to now being
a personality,
a big personality. Yeah. I think of Bonang and like the Pearl 2 season, all those people.
Presenter searches, like I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Cesar Domo was also, he was MTV Base, and what's her name?
Oh yeah, MTV Base. Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. Also, I was going to say, like, we live in such a mecca time right now, like in the future, where we're talking about shows, we're talking about like stuff from the past, we're really like processing that stuff. Everything you see on social media is, I feel like throwback is a legit industry.
I think so too, but I also think
like we're doing it now.
Nostalgia porn has kind of gotten out of hand. I will say that. I think we've passed
Yeah.
the line
'Cause
of
it's
like
like,
it being a
where
moment to
are
like all the
we?
time.
Where are we
want
presently
to
then?
talk about,
Yeah.
or it's a remake of something,
And it's
or
quite
it's a
this, it's quite that.
yeah. It's like the evolution has been a bit odd now, especially when I think of films. Like it's kind of in a weird space.
Films.
Yeah, like we're in the reboot era,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
not.
it's weird what's happening. Like we're doing everything. We're going like deep and meta
There's like a
with
new
everything.
Snow White. There's a new. I'm like, okay, why?
It's like, where are the
Do
stories?
we need another live action
Where are
movie?
the stories? I feel like it's also a thing where we're such a consumption culture that that's what is being produced. Like we're also
Yeah.
like, we're consuming and we're talking about it, and it's like, where's the original creation? Where's the original?
Yeah.
What are our kids gonna or grandkids gonna look and
that is the concern, because if there's nothing new, then there's nothing to be nostalgic about.
about
anymore.
right now?
About right now. Like, what will people say the 2020s were like?
Yeah, the 2025.
I mean, we know the roaring 20s with
2025.
COVID and bootlegging and
We were just talking about
underground
COVID
stuff.
right now, hey?
Yeah.
But I also feel like COVID is such an identifier, like it's such a marker of our times. Like COVID, we still are, like reaping the benefits and the non-benefits and the of COVID, of the loss of memory, of the loss of things. I feel like there's nostalgia as well as like linked
think
to
it's
that.
like a psychological effect? It could
definitely
be.
think
It
people
could
are
be.
struggling to, and also like things are really tough today. Like
Yeah, they are.
it's hard. Like the late age. I'm gonna take Gray's
Late stage
the late
capitalism.
stage of capitalism is
Yeah.
fucking us.
Right.
Guys.
Yeah.
Fucking us.
It's not
So
good.
it's like, it's rough. People are like living in their old school playlist, and I mean, why not? But
yeah.
there is a chat to be
Definitely.
said about that. Though.
Yeah. And definitely COVID did have a psychological effect.
COVID, guys.
I definitely agree on that.
5 years later, hey.
Yeah.
Whew.
A lot.
Hey,
to unpack.
guys.
But hi. Welcome back.
Welcome back. What's your content? What do you?
My content is
Let's
not
jump right back into it.
fun.
Oh.
My content is justice for Kwekwe today,
Yeah.
just because it feels very heavy. It is very heavy.
Here we are back
For people
again.
who don't
Here we are
know,
back again.
Kwekwe was a 7-year-old girl
Yeah.
who was in school in October, was assaulted, was raped, was nothing. She went home feeling very uncomfortable.
On her way home, right?
No, so this was at school.
At school.
I think it's
'cause I know
Bergview
the
Primary. It's a
principal is
school
also
in
one of the
Eastern
suspects.
Cape. So
That's crazy.
basically, the mom took to social media to kind of try to get some sort of movement in the case. So Kwekwe was told that the transport was running late from being picked up at school. One of the caretakers asked her to go into the classroom and like sweep, which is
Jehovah
again
Jireh,
a little
Batsy.
bit weird. And then she remembers feeling dizzy, and then
So
she was
she
woken
was-
up again, probably drugged or something.
Yeah.
And then she was woken up again by the caretaker saying the transport was there. She got home. Her mom recalls her getting home, like her uniform wasn't zipped up properly. It
Sure.
just felt a bit weird. She kept going to the bathroom. Eventually, when they checked, very damaged, very bruised, took her into the hospital, and then they advised getting DNA because they said that they had been a forceful entry from the front and back. I mean, all the trigger warnings for this, like all the trigger warnings.
Hey.
So
Oh my god.
yeah, they filed a police report. The principal, Jakub Peterson, I think is his name, expelled her from school. After that happened to her, yeah, she was expelled
Why
from
was she
school.
expelled?
They didn't report it to the Department of Education. The school has now been shut down.
Why did they expel her? Do we know that?
That's
at
also
all?
crazy. To have that happen to you and then be expelled is also like, so they've asked for people to get DNA from the dad to the transport driver to the caretaker. The caretaker and transport driver feeling like they are suspects. The principal
principal
has
as
not
well.
wanted to give his DNA sample. So
It
there's
must have
been
been
pressure
him.
to get him to do that. And AfriForum is also
Yeah, I saw that.
working on his case, which is a whole bunch of other red flags. So there were a lot of protests, a lot of marches this week. There's been a bit more of a push from different political parties. But yeah, like process hasn't been followed. Everything has been very, very slow because this happened in October and we're in April now, which is also heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's just sad that, yeah, like little black girls don't get to be innocent and don't get to be children in a lot of ways. So it's felt quite like
just
heavy and heartbreaking, to be honest.
Torturing. It's like,
yeah.
And it's interesting because when you say like the mom took to social media to try get something done, because it's also like a big fat mystery around who did it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, you know, and the law this week coming around to say that naming a minor in such a case is illegal. It's obviously not by law to name a minor in any sort of like. But I mean, it's been a movement. It was already the type of thing. But I'm also like, the mom went onto social media to do it, but at the same time, it's like, here we are back again, bruh. Like, and nothing has changed with the legal system. Like, it's just, and I just for it's just, what is justice in a situation like this? You know, because that's all you want. Like, I don't want to. It must be spoken about. Like, the facts need to be the facts. But it's like, no, dude, justice. Hey,
Yeah.
we don't need to be chatting about this. It's justice that needs to be. And again, it's been like, this is like
post Uyinene,
like
post so
post-Uyinene,
many people
like
that are.
Why is this okay in South Africa, bruh? Like,
it's very,
and
the
it's
fact
just
that
such a symptom of like the misogyny here, you know, like the terrible misogyny that happens in this country. The misogynoir is what it is, you know, misogyny against black women. And it's like, that's statistically the marker of a really violent country, or is rape and crime.
Yeah.
You know,
and for
like,
me, even the fact
like,
that we have
country, it's like,
the fact that we have numbers of those things as if we are a country at war, but we are not.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, hey. And it's so interesting,
like it's
you know, South Africa is like on the news right now. It's like
in
doing
a lot of weird ways. We're in the news,
and like we're in Donald Trump's,
I mean, Elon Musk is whispering in his ears, and
Donald Trump has constantly got our names in his mouth, and it's like, it's just an interesting place to be in as a South African, because like these are
name
issues
dropping as well.
Yeah, these are issues, and these are issues that have not been like, you know, and then you start to look at like the it's funny, I found a term for a useless, worthless government. Old English terms for useless, worthless government. Kakistocracy.
What? Kakistocracy?
Kakistocracy. So aristocracy, kakistocracy.
Oh, kakistocracy.
Yeah. Ikaka.
It does feel like ikaka a lot of the time.
That is
what are we doing?
What are those old people in government doing, guys? What are they doing up there?
Yeah.
What's happening? Like,
and
who has got this on their portfolio?
Yeah.
Like, it's been years, you know.
Because this is genuinely a crisis.
Yeah, it's a crisis.
We are in a crisis.
More than 5 years.
Like, long before, like, it's very bad. We do have a young minister, his name is escaping me, but he's within the digital marketing.
Boo.
And was young, like, younger than 50. Young,
yeah,
which was surprising to also see. But there was a conversation about making a creators platform of TikTok so that South African content creators can get paid for it, which was interesting because in other countries like TikTok is an app that's monetized, but here it's not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not. So
Because I did
in
hear that
countries
content
like
creators
America,
are not making money outside
people
here.
can
hey?
get paid for views and stuff like that. Whereas in South Africa, the model, you more rely on brand partnerships and campaigns and things like that. So yeah, it's interesting having a young person, I guess, in
He might
office
be
to
able
address things like that, and it might help
include
fix
that
the
into,
youth
like, policies.
unemployment
Yeah.
crisis
Because the
as
youth
well.
are busy
So,
creating content. We need to be
Yeah.
able to make money out of that, hey?
yeah, in the way that other countries do. So that will be interesting.
South Africa
but
is behind in
again,
so
we're-
many ways. So many ways, but it's like this
We're forward, but we're
illusion
back.
of, are we
Yeah.
forward? What are we forward in really? What are we forward in really?
Culture. Music.
Listen.
No, I'm joking.
I mean,
but like,
that's very
okay,
true.
no, I'm not
though. That's
joking,
very
but
true.
like,
we are. Hey, that's true, and it
Yes.
exists. It exists
Yeah,
to be
because
recognized, appreciated, and
everybody's
acknowledged.
talking about amapiano.
Yeah, and I mean, our jazz,
piano
like,
to the
really.
world and the
Yeah,
jazz and like
yeah,
there's so
yeah,
many other things. So we are
absolutely.
leaders in quite a few cultural
We are.
things. So there's that.
But it's also
I mean,
giving. It's also giving. You know, entertainment artists, like, you know, the arts is almost like a distraction. Like, we're good at the arts. We're really good at that. We're really good at entertainment, theater, music. Like, we've really got powerful histories and lineages around that. But it's like, I just also just wish we would, you know, we could excel in like, I mean, I'm not saying arts is not impactful. Maybe that is where the impact needs to be.
I mean, I think this conversation is a topic
it's a
on its
lot.
own.
It is.
But
It
I
is.
mean, and I'll say quickly twofold
Shoot.
that on the one hand, art will always be a sign of the times.
Yeah.
So I do like that you can look at fashion, you can look at jazz and kind of pinpoint the history and see the things that are happening.
Absolutely. It's
I do
important,
like
I
that even
guess.
in piano, the lyrics,
Yeah,
a lot of it is healing, a lot of it is
absolutely.
spiritual, a lot of it is
Yeah,
about
house
prayer,
music,
house
yeah.
music as well. So many other genres
Yeah.
are speaking to that with R&B and just the state of relationships right now. So I think that's not going without being said, but I do get your point in that sometimes the line of like art being an outlet versus art being escapism is very fine, because it's also very interesting how a lot of artists are coming to this country to perform and their festivals, and it's like we are in a very bad economic state, but we must have money for tickets
Yeah.
for concerts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like we're struggling, but enjoyment.
Yeah.
And it feels
but
very
it's
like
interesting because people will fork out that
end
money.
of the world,
There is a
'cause
middle
it's
class
like,
that is forking
I
out money.
might as well have a good time. If everything's going to shit,
Yeah,
if everything's
might
going
as
to cuck, I might as well have a good time before I go.
Because what else can we do but
What else
like
can we
enjoy
do?
ourselves? Why should
Do
we?
you know what I mean? Why should we?
Why should we?
Yes. But
that's-
we will tangent.
That is the
Quinta,
content.
what
That is
is
the
your
content.
content
Like,
of
please
the
say
week?
breaking news. Hey, like,
that is breaking news. I'm
like,
sorry. I was like,
it really is. It
I
really
can't.
is.
I
Absolutely.
haven't
We
been able to
cannot
think of
ignore how
something,
shit,
anything
how well
else.
it is literally outside the door,
Yeah.
bruh. It's bad. hey?
Yes, and genuinely, whenever this comes out, I hope that there is justice for Gogwe, and I hope that there is just more progress and
I just
forward
get sad, you know,
movement.
and I do want to talk about this. Just rape. Okay, the justice, the politics of it. There can never be justice for one being raped. It is a traumatizing. Like, I wouldn't even. It's terrible to have gone through rape, especially from a young age. So it's like, it's hectic for women. It's hectic for women to be going through this. Like, it is also this collective pain that women feel, you know, like through femicide, through violence,
Yeah.
female violence like this, you know, and it's like, you must kind of like participate in society, and it's like, you know, like the collective pain and the individual pain is still to be processed. Hey, it's hectic.
It's still to be
It's
processed.
hectic. Rape is not a joke. Hey,
Yeah.
baby. It's not a joke to have gone through rape. It's not.
It's not.
I wanna for my content. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
all I can do is agree, because it's not. There's grief in it.
Grief.
And like yeah, I mean,
And horrible, terrible
it's just
pain.
the trauma being triggered when things, like there are a lot of things
Relationships,
that
like it
come
affects
up.
everything. It affects your whole
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And it's sad to have that happen,
Yeah.
as you said, at like 7, when you're supposed to be in, what grade is that? Grade 1?
And like, what's
Maybe?
your-
Like,
guys,
come on.
What's the thinking? Hey.
Anyway.
Anyways.
And
so-
okay, well, the last thing I will say is
Yes.
that I do think there is a correlation between the last episode we spoke about in
Mhm.
how bodies are perceived, in how sex is perceived,
Yeah,
in
boy.
how hypersexualized
Sexualizing.
and sexualizing
Yeah.
little black girls from
Yeah.
a young
Yes,
age
yes,
because they
yes.
go through puberty early,
Yeah.
because
Especially
they
black
grow
girls.
early. Do you know what I
especially
mean?
black girls,
And
yeah.
it's like there's a direct correlation in how desensitized we are and how much sex is on screen, the increased consumption of porn. Like all of it is
100%.
interlinked.
It is.
And I
hey.
never want us to get to a point where we're desensitized to things like this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
all in the same universe.
It's all
and
in
that
the same
can't go without
universe.
being
It
said
is.
either.
It absolutely is. Like images, this is why it's so important to have this kind of representative conversation, because images live in people's minds. They become a code. People, like buy in, subscribe to these images. They
semiotics.
Semiotics,
This is what we studied in
baby.
media.
Like,
Yeah.
people learn like this. They learn to
Yeah.
be this way. They learn to be this way from watching and consuming, you know what I mean? So absolutely 100% correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is a poem. My content. Let me just get my code
Ooh, a
here. I
poem.
hate how
A poem.
yes, absolutely. Poems
I
are
always say that
you
like that because
know-
of Matilda.
she said like
When Miss French was like, oh, a poem.
I love poetry. I think it's also so interesting, so apt to bring it up right now as we're having this conversation, because I feel like, again, art, poetry, writing, whatever creative outlet is a way to process the pain that we're going through right now. And this one is called 4 Friends Catch Up Over Pasta by Amy Kay. And I'm just going to read it. Okay. I'm doing better. They need to run more tests. We're moving in together. I'm never dating again. How is your dad? How is your heart? How are you dealing with the state of the world? I love your new hair color. I'm on new meds. Remember how young we used to be? Let's build a commune. We can have sheep and goats. Yes, and dancing. Oh, I missed you. It's been too long. This is delicious. The sauce, the salad, the night, all of it. I love this poem.
For real. That, you know what? That is 1,000. I love the poem. I love the title. That is 100% conversations over pasta.
Dude.
So
And it's like
I connected to that so much.
Friendship, chats, food, my favorite thing.
The jumping of topics.
Yes.
Also.
Yes, absolutely. The
tangents.
tangents that happen. It's like, yeah, I love that poem. And I just feel like, I dive into poetry at times like this. I make it a choice. And I appreciate you bringing up Good because I have made it a choice for me not to watch the news because it's just too much. It's
And
too
I
much
also
for my
understand
nervous
that.
system.
It's a lot. It's
too
a
much.
lot.
Like, I can't. And also it's an agenda. It's an agenda. There's an agenda, and it's like, there is art. There is art.
There is art.
There is art. There is food. There's friendship. There's community. There's music.
There's
you know.
reprieve.
There's reprieve,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To reprieve. Okay, yeah,
Reprieve.
poetry. Okay, getting into it.
hey?
We have
very
hectic start. Okay,
Yeah,
so
hectic.
today
Yes.
we're going to talk about,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not award season yet, but I will say
Is it
now,
not?
the award-winning, soon-to-be award-winning,
Yeah.
critically acclaimed, I can say,
Yeah.
show Paradise, which was
Paradise,
created by Dan Fogelman, who wrote...
Can you hear me?
Give it up. Who wrote This Is Us? He gave us one of my favorite rom-coms, Crazy Stupid Love.
Dan
And,
Fogelman is
I mean,
just
as a snapshot, as a synopsis, it is a whodunit.
Yeah.
Somebody killed the president.
White House.
In the White
drama.
House. We don't know who. James Marsden
Yes.
plays President Cal Bradford. We
So
don't
good.
know
Oof. Yeah.
who killed the president. He winds up
He
dead,
is
episode 1.
Yeah.
And then by the end of episode 1, you find out that nothing is quite as it seems. But what I want to start with is talking about Dan Fogelman, because it felt very him.
Absolutely.
Did you feel that?
Absolutely.
It felt like I was feels like Dan Fogelman has a tone. He
does, he
and for
does.
me, the thing that he does with time and misdirects feels so signature.
Yeah.
At this point, when I think of the misdirect in the third act of Crazy Stupid Love, or I think of This Is Us and like the 3 multiple storylines or timelines in each episode concurrently,
storylines,
and that's
going
still
against
making
each
sense.
other.
The fact that he made that make sense without it being messy, and even here we are in present time, but we're 12 years ago, but we are 5 years ago, but we keep jumping back and forth, and what a show, because we find out that like Earth is kind of blown up and stuff, and it's the end of the world.
Yeah, so something's happening to the planet, like, which it already is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something's happening to the planet, guys. What's going
the
on?
nose.
So something's happening. There's
Yes.
like a natural disaster,
Yes.
imminent, really
Yes.
crazy thing.
Like it's on
and
the
it's
way.
a sci-fi thriller.
Yes. Very
Great.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
So the way they explain what it is that in Antarctica there was a volcano explosion which like melted ice caps,
Yes.
started a tsunami, and the whole end of the world shtick
Yeah,
that you
some sort
see
of
now and
natural
then.
disaster.
It's a climate crisis. Yeah.
And it gets so bad that they have to cancel planet Earth and go live underground. And then they
in a cave in Colorado.
they build a whole world underground. It's interesting because as soon as they build this world and they create this world underground, the actual world becomes the third world,
Yes.
which is so interesting.
That is
to me.
interesting.
The
Okay.
labeling of nation states.
Yeah.
Because we all know ourselves to be a
Ooh.
third world country.
Oh yes.
Those third world place.
Especially as South Africans,
Yeah.
we've always been told we're third world.
Yes,
But
hey?
then the actual world becomes
Yes.
third world. And they have built this billionaire bunker,
Yeah.
this cave in the middle of
Colorado.
Colorado. And
Sun City.
and for me, it's very, very interesting because Samantha, who's Sinatra, who is
Sinatra,
the villain
bro.
of the story.
But I said
And
G.I. Jane. I said G.I. Jane.
Oh my God, I love Jane.
I said
I love Jane. Come on, Jane. Oh, the naming of Jane because G.I. Jane.
yes,
it's so good.
yes.
It's so good.
So many references
It's so good.
that he's
So many
American,
Oh my God.
quintessential American references.
And the thing is, but for me, it is also a story on the American dream and like
Yes.
Americanism
yeah.
as a concept. So like Sinatra kind of goes to this seminar of different talks with Cal.
Yeah.
He hasn't run for office yet.
He hasn't at this point.
He
Yes.
wanted to be an English teacher, really. And his dad was just like, don't be a basic bitch.
Yeah. He was like, no,
you are
actually
not going to be, you're not
not.
doing that.
You're not.
We used to work in oil and like,
And the Bradford name is not going to
No.
end up in some high school
No.
teaching
No.
Catcher in the Rye over and over
he
again.
was like, are you kidding me? Could you be any more mediocre?
Yeah. So no,
very
he
much
was
a
just
tough
like,
dad.
yeah,
You must live
yeah.
vicariously through me.
Yeah.
And whatever. And you still wonder, like, there's still questions about what exactly the dad
Yes,
knows.
the dad knows
his
'cause
heavy
he-
involvement, because I do think he's heavily
Yeah,
involved because there's a lot of symbolism.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Samantha goes to this talk with Cal, and that's where they first hear about like the scientist is like, everything's gonna go to crap in the next decade. They're the only two people there.
He's very angry
like,
about it.
Nobody cares
Yeah.
that this people will
Yeah.
care when shit hits
When
the
shit
fan.
hits the fan.
So she then decides she's grieving. Her son has died from cancer.
yeah.
So that kind of also underpins her little
Yes,
villain origin
yeah.
story.
True.
But she's also a tech billionaire. She developed this thing in cloud storage. She has a whole bunch of
yes, yeah.
money. So she decides, I'm going to do something about this. And she asks this architect, what should we do? But she basically asked the scientist, what should we do? And he was like, dig a hole and stay there. So she does that quite literally.
Yeah.
She takes a bunch of billionaires and people, she blindfolds them. They go to this cave site, mountain site in the middle of Colorado. And she asked the architect, like, can you build me a city with 25,000 people that can be self-sustaining, that
Yeah.
can feel like anywhere USA, it will feel the same. It will have neighborhoods and whatever. And what's interesting for me is like, outside of the worker story, how they chose to
The
build
selection process,
the
babe.
selection process.
I was like,
how do you get to be the 25,000?
And it's so interesting
Whoa.
with the lead,
Sterling K. Brown, Xavier, yes.
Guy.
Was Sterling.
Sterring.
I love him.
I love him.
I love him. Put him in everything.
And him and Dan Fogelman, I think, what a muse. What a relationship. What a relationship. It's always amazing as a writer to find your performer, your guy, to bring your shit to life.
This is like what Michael Kugler does with Michael B. Jordan.
With Michael B. Jordan, exactly.
You're my guy, You're the guy. Yes.
And it's interesting that his family, his wife is like, the girl
Yes.
she knows she is.
Well,
She's
Terry
is like, I'm not going down there.
I am
I've got a
doctor.
life. I am a doctor.
I'm double barrel.
He even says, Terry's never listened to me. No black woman listens.
Okay,
guys.
Okay, but even on that, what I do want to say, the first thing is that like Sterling K. Brown will always have a black ass wife in whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Because I thought of Beth in This Is Us. I said, come on. You always have the black wife in the black guy's family. But also, even to your point around Dan Fogelman and him, I love that Dan Fogelman wrote that role for him.
Yeah.
So he, because I was like reading up and stuff and watching stuff, and he gave him the script maybe like a year before anything happened. And he was like, written a pilot episode of the show, want you to be the lead. I think it will be cool, but like, I want you to do it. This is not an open casting.
Yes.
Like, I wrote this for you.
Yes.
You're the guy. And you can feel that like,
chef's kiss.
it plays in his book
That's
and bag
just
of
like
acting.
co-creation. That's just what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Because you feel that like,
partner.
this was for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays
Secret Service.
but bodyguard to the president, basically.
Yes.
Him and Billy.
Billy Pace.
Agent William, rest in peace, because wow,
I think bring it back from the day.
I think like Daniel Fogelman's writing is just so pristine and nerdy. He actually reminds me of Neil Gaiman. He's also a sci-fi, but also human sci-fi writer. Like, and it's this like relationship between the president and Xavier and Billy, and this like brotherhood. You have this like, you have the other side. The president he's just like a guy, and
he's a guy. And James Marsden was so charismatic, such a perfect choice for this.
And he's like just a guy, and it's just, it's interesting, this myth of presidency in the States, where you're like, the president is sometimes often a puppet. Yeah. I mean, even here.
In some ways. And like that, because
cupcakes. But, it's like this thing where there is a whole powerful body behind the president.
Yes.
There's one guy, there is a Sinatra.
There's a Sinatra.
Crazy powerful. Who is pulling the strings, who's the puppeteer.
And even to the strings, the music choices. Sinatra, I Put the World on a String. It's so on the nose. It's
Phil Collins.
The Phil Collins, Another Day in Paradise.
I'm like,
we have poison. We have like... We built the city like so many.
This city.
It's so like and also like how they used, music to be on the nose, but also how they did a very like, felt very Grey's Anatomy in how like we will also use sad covers of the song.
Yeah.
And then also do a very final coda with the song. So like each episode we will play the song and use it for this final sequence, this final coda moment was very like,
yeah. Because it's a
just
choice.
Grey's
Music,
coded.
guys. Music is a choice.
It worked so well.
It
worked so well.
And I feel like, Daniel Fogelman.
Daniel will call him by his name.
Listen, Daniel. Writing sci-fi is also, I think he's good at it, and he's pretty much made for it, basically. Yeah. But I feel like the moment the story started to take foot for me was when Billy died. That's when I was like,
okay.
whoa, I did not expect. And I mean, the setup is always what you, that's why.
Yes.
That's why I fell in love. I fell in love with Billy.
And I was really upset.
I was like, no.
I was really upset.
Like the fact that Jane, Jane is a socio.
She is a sociopath. She's crazy. She's crazy. But
I was like, Billy is dead, and he's like the most. He's a killer. He's Inkadi. He was
like a missionary. He came from jail. They trained him to be a killing machine.
Yeah.
The guilt that he felt for killing the 4 that went to go see what was happening up here on Earth. And it's so, for me, so what I really like is how Dan Fogelman can write characters. He can write light and shade.
Oh, dude.
Is there such a thing as a villain? Is there such a thing as a good guy? He makes you think about it all the time. Very well-rounded. Just like you just don't know.
Absolutely. He's cold-blooded. He is cold-blooded.
Yes, because Billy's cold-blooded, but you like him at the end.
You know? And because he does say, coming down here, like,
it was a fresh start. Yes, like that speech that
the real world for me did not see me. Like I was thrown into this like life of violence as a child before I could even
his uncle was horrible.
And I love the fact. Yeah. Listen, I love the fact that he killed the uncle over the dog because I was gonna stop watching, guys.
The uncle was like, horrible.
You will not kill this dog. You will not kill the poor dog. Okay.
He was like, weak things, you need to take them out. I was like, not the dog.
And he comes downstairs here, down underground here. And he's like, this is me. I can be an uncle.
I can have a drink with a friend. I can have a friend.
I can have a friend.
And what was interesting about Paradise down there is that like for some people it was a fresh start.
Yes.
And for other people it was like, I get to just have this different life. I get to have a house. Because for him, he was like, him and Jane, they were like, we've never had houses like this. We've never had like community or neighborhoods like this. We've never had friends. And like, again, I do want to bring back Jane because the we.
And that's how we end.
For me, I just
like, what's up with
the we? The we for me was very human. The we was a connection to normal life.
Yeah.
It's a game that she used to play with Billy. Yeah. And as much as she was ordered to kill him, I do think that there was a part of her that had feelings for him.
Think so?
I do think so. I don't think she's completely switched off. And the fact that they would turn off the cameras and play on the Wii during their shifts, and that's all she wanted. Yeah. Like, she could have asked for anything, but that's all she wanted. Like, some sort of normalcy, maybe some reminder of the guy. But again, we're kind of jumping. So I'm like, okay.
It's crazy because like when Billy dies, I guess that is that thing where you're like, a serial killer, a sociopath is a human being, you know, like, because the cold-hearted way in which she kills her boyfriend, her lover, I'm just like, wow, like Jane, hey?
It was cold. However, Sinatra is more cold. Samantha's terrible. And Samantha is one of those people, a Karen in some ways, but one of those
100%.
Who, even the things she would say, and she'd be like, I'm not a monster. I'm not, do you know what I mean? Like,
I am a monster.
Just like the part of your brain that maybe you have to switch off to do terrible things. And in your mind, what you're doing is not that terrible. Yeah, because in her mind, she's very bottom line about a lot of things.
She is.
Which for me was like so odd. And
it's interesting.
Because even when they're down there, I thought about at what point. So episode 7, the day, like the episode of the day.
Yes,
that was some of the best figure out.
We figure
like,
out
D-Day when we went underground.
You're right.
It's D-Day, right? And again, the very Dan Fogelman. We start with these random characters. We don't know who they are. Yeah. There's an old captain. It's in the 60s, maybe Cuban Missile Crisis. We don't know. We're confused. We don't know. And he's like, people are going to do this again. People will decide to just bomb everyone and fuck shit up. And this shouldn't happen again. And that guy, later we find out, he basically made a blue chip. He had a blue code. It's a failsafe. So when they're in the plane, the president can decide, are we launching all the missiles?
Which guy?
You know the random guy in the beginning of the episode?
Which guy? He is a
we literally, I don't even think they give him, he's like a general. He has a wife. It's like the first scene in that episode.
On
It feels
episode 7.
very
Okay,
throwaway.
okay,
It's literally like the opening scene. It's like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
It feels throwaway. You're kind of like, what is
never
this?
is
Who is
throwaway.
this?
Yeah.
But then later, so after they escape the White House, they leave people stranded. They decide, the rich people, who's in the helicopter, who's getting saved, who's not, after that whole mess.
Yeah.
And then this guy, and they're like, well, everything's going to shit. It's a nuclear war. People are throwing bombs. Let's just throw all the bombs.
Yeah.
And then Cal is like, someone made a failsafe. Someone made a way for us to fry all the devices and stop the missiles from launching. So I'm going to do that instead of fucking shit up.
Yeah.
And in that moment, Sinatra's like, but why would you do that though? Because like, what if something bad happens to us?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, again, you're very, you don't care about everybody else.
Yeah.
You don't care. You're like, we're
interesting,
good. We're
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
We'll be
yeah.
fine.
But I mean,
you
I
guys-
think that's such an interesting thing to pose because humans are selfish. You will be. I
Yeah.
think at some point,
Especially in life and death.
Xavier, in life and death, babes.
In that situation?
Xavier also, after wanting to fuck shit up and then Sinatra comes back and is like, I've got your daughter. He is like, I'm playing ball. I'm going to have to play ball, you know? Because I think self-centeredness is inherently human, like it is inherently. But it's interesting, Samantha's character, like in the beginning, she is this like mousy, well, not even mousy, but terrified
mousy.
character.
Yes.
You know? And when she hears, she's just anxious. She's anxious, which is such an arc for a Carrie. And it's like this like deep, soul-crushing, crippling anxiety that they have, that then when they get the power,
it's bad.
It's like,
because
I
she's
got
also
the power
grieving.
in
She's
my
sad.
hand. Yes,
that's how we find
that's
Gabriella as her therapist.
Gabriella.
Because she's a trauma grief therapist after her son died.
Yeah.
And she goes from like anxious to grieving and sad to being a mother
villain.
to being a supervillain. And she's like, I'm making a plan for me. I don't care about everybody else. Yeah. Really. Like, I'll pretend that I do, but like, not really.
Yeah, I've protected myself
and my family.
Yeah. There is a and when on that episode, I think it's episode 6 or 7, when now everyone, the dignitaries and the leaders have. There's always a plan.
There's a plan. Them. What do they call it? Plan Versailles. Yeah, they called it Versailles.
There's always a plan for them.
That episode was very interesting for me because it does show that like money can get you a lot of things. And for Samantha, it was like, you can be a billionaire, but being a billionaire won't keep your son alive. Yeah. It won't. Money won't defy the medical odds for that. Yeah. And even for the people in the room, it's like, okay, our money has got us here. We are important in government. We are going to call Versailles. We're going into the cave. And it's interesting that they underpinned it with Marsha, who's been the secretary for Cal for like, from when he was a senator. And she keeps asking Xavier like, what's going on? It seems like there's a plan. And like, he's trying to get Terry because Terry's in Atlanta. And she's like, no, my son is sick. And like, I've been with him for so long. And she thinks I've been with him for so long. So I'm good. I'm safe. I'm good. Oof. And then you have the new Secret Service guy. It's his 3rd day on the job and all of this is happening. And he's like, oh, because I'm guarding Xavier, I'm going to get in the helicopter. And even when they're like, you can't get in the helicopter, he's like, no, but there's space, but there's room. Why can't I be here? And everyone who has worked and toiled and like been a part of the system is like, you guys will be fucked anyway. You guys won't make the cut. It's like we're going underground. Just because you friends
forever does not mean anything.
And we're not that good friends, clearly. Clearly.
It's not the length of the time.
You weren't on the list.
Quality. You weren't on the
list. You weren't on the list. And now it's like, who makes the list? Because people were mad. People were upset.
The list is an interesting one because
it's Gabriella. Or was part of it felt? Do you think that they did a whole like essential? They didn't really get into it.
But I think, you know,
do you think it's like essential?
I think
essentials.
I think on some level there was an essentials, but I think it was people who could contribute and who are utilitarian to the whole thing. And I think for Sinatra, like it was people who she was going to have to like who were going to be part of her regiment,
the Billies, the Janes,
the killers, the people that she could tell what to do on her payroll, and You know, and it was interesting the at the
bartender.
where the bartender
And the
gets and the wife, you know,
Because
and you
the
can
wife
tell,
is the scientist, radiologist, the top.
you know, and you can tell that
what.
Xavier is wondering, how did you get to
Like-
have your partner down here? Like, how come
Yes,
you? 'Cause
and
it's like
he's
that whole
also
thing,
like, "Are you the best bartender on earth?" Like what? Like
Yeah,
there's a joke
like,
about like, how did you rig the system? And he was like,
because
"Well, my wife,
that's how
top scientist,
But the wife
but
dies.
I am a bartender,
But he kills
so
the
I'm a
wife.
bonus."
you know,
And then the wife, because the wife, the general,
They
all
go
four of
up to
them,
the third
they're
world.
like, "Oh, we have a survivor. We're bringing the survivor." And Sinatra was like, "Nah, you're not
No,
doing that.
Yeah.
You're not
Orders-
gonna do that."
Orders Billy to kill
And you
her.
can see, the back and forth. Billy's like, "Are you sure? I don't feel like we should do this.
Yeah.
How bad would it be to bring in like one person? Do you know what I mean?" And she's like, "I don't care. What if there are others? Kill them all.
Yeah.
Kill everybody." And you could tell he feels bad for killing her.
Yeah,
You can tell he feels terrible.
bad now just for being this killer now.
Yeah, like you can
know.
see that it's not,
And
Like,
now
he's not
now
grand
the
anymore.
barman is like grieving.
and he doesn't know what happened to his wife.
Yeah,
And
he
Billy goes there all the
doesn't.
time, and it's like, "I killed your wife, but I can't tell you that."
yeah.
It's just so like the conflict and like the angst and like, what
and
are we gonna do?
The
And, like,
calculations,
what is on earth?
the parallel
Yeah,
storylines.
because then there's also the Cal thing of like,
Yes.
who shot the president? And we
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh,
And
that
then
part when it comes out,
Cal,
please.
So even Cal's whole like realizing the thing that you said, that like he is a puppet and he doesn't have as much power as he
Yeah.
thought. And I don't know how the power flipped with him and Sinatra, because even when they were up there and he took the blue code and he was
too, I
like,
don't-
"Get her out, or if she doesn't get out, you need to shoot her."
Yeah.
So they went from there to now she's pulling the strings when you're underground.
I don't know
so
how
I don't know
she
at
went
what
to
point
pulling the strings.
he just
think-
like gave her. Maybe
think
that's a
because she
season
was
2
a tech
chat.
Maybe because she was a tech billionaire,
And she was
but yeah, we
funding
didn't-
and it was her idea, but we didn't really get into
Yes,
the power
yeah,
flip, because
yeah.
at some point he stopped calling the shots and she would call the shots.
She was,
But
the
we
shot
don't
caller.
know. Even when he was
Why
like, "The
and
people
how.
deserve to know what happened to the other
Yeah.
four," she was like, "No, we're not doing
Yeah.
that." So
And
I don't know when the switch happened, but even how he finds out that his dad knows a whole lot. His dad has higher security
Yeah,
clearance than he does.
He is.
His dad, the symbol that his mom gave, his bookmark,
Yes.
the flower on his bookmark was the flower on the uniform of the
Yeah.
workers who
Yeah.
built the cave.
Yeah.
So it's just like the dad is very involved.
Yeah,
the
very involved.
dad has dementia.
Yeah, when he starts getting dementia now, and
He
starts
has
coming back to him.
dementia, and he keeps shouting things.
Yeah.
He's remembering things in bits and pieces, but he's also calling him a weak bitch the next second.
That's one.
Like, you're
That's
just-
something I
he's-
want to point
yeah.
out, like how again, Cal as this puppet president is just abused by his dad and his son.
And his son.
Who's
Oh,
an
his
asshole.
last
Who's
day
an
on
asshole.
Earth, underground, wherever, was not a good time.
Also Jeremy. Also Xavier. Like he is.
Oh,
he is quite.
Yes, the
he
tension
is-
between them.
The tension between them.
Because
But it's
Don't you
interesting.
feel like Xavier was being unfair, blaming Cal for Terry being in Atlanta?
Yeah, you know, it's like
I don't know,
it's
because
like-
my thing is like,
But it's like,
he
who are you
told
gonna
you
blame for your wife
yeah,
being
but it's also like
outside here?
he told you to tell her not to go, and the way you told her was like, "I don't think you should go."
Yeah.
You weren't like,
And
"Girl."
he did say, put
you
your foot
didn't say
down.
like,
He did
"Girl."
say, put
No, he
your foot
literally was like,
down.
"This is not the like. I'll never. This is the time to
Yeah.
tell her to hang it up. Maybe go on the next trip." And he was like, "Don't go." Like it was very. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was even annoyed. I was like, "Why wouldn't you?" Even if you don't tell her, you didn't create enough of a level of urgency.
You didn't.
There was
make
no
a
level
scene
of
about it.
urgency in
Yeah.
the way that he
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
"You shouldn't go," and she's
Yeah.
just there like, "I need to go do my job. You're being
Yeah.
weird."
I mean,
You're
in
not-
their
you're not-
relationship,
you're not-
like it's interesting. Their
I know.
relationship,
Now
the
you're gonna
power.
blame Cal
There is a power dynamic in their relationship. Terry is
wears the
shot
pants.
caller.
Paula,
Not
shot
she
caller.
She does the wear the pants. And
couldn't
maybe
even tell her,
that's
like,
why.
"Don't go on
And
the
maybe
trip."
that
He was like,
is
"Don't go on the trip."
why, because she does say to him at some point, it's interesting to me. You're so calm about everything, and there is a line. Not everyone can be calm and neutral at the
All
whole
the time.
And she was like, I feel for the motherfucker at the end.
Who's gonna
on the
bear the
other
brunt
side
of this?
You're losing it. And that was
Yeah.
Sinatra. And that was when.
Yeah.
And I'm
But
just like.
it wasn't unfounded for Sinatra. So it's like the right person got the
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the
so
whole
it's
thing.
Like,
It's
at least he didn't misdirect his rage.
that was his moment of kind of
I'm gonna fuck shit up.
yeah, like express
Gonna write
something, express
signs
something
in the sky
yeah.
in red.
Stop. Exactly, you know,
Gonna
and
be
you're
like,
gonna
they're
give
lying to
Sinatra
you. I'm
a
gonna
time.
be like,
You're gonna
timer,
you're like,
1 minute.
Listen,
you're gonna find out the truth.
4, 3,
very-
2, 1.
But
You
also
know,
for the people, again, even how Gabriella was like, this is gonna traumatize people all over again.
switching off the sky.
You're gonna turn off the sky.
like.
All these fireworks and things are
But
blowing
it's
up.
also
Like
the thing. Can we please talk about the builders who then, because that storyline
we
then comes
have
in
to,
towards
because
the
that
end.
unravels. Yes,
The builder, the foreman,
my heart.
who are building this place. Then it's some kind of chemical,
Man.
some kind of chemical.
So,
that's
I
in
did
the
take notes 'cause I was like,
yes.
I need to
What's the
remember
chemical?
everybody's name.
What's the
So-
chemical?
basically,
Yeah.
Trent was the project manager for
For the
Paradise,
miners
for
who
the
are
cave.
building. Yes.
And all these black workers as well, they're all working on this thing. Him and Adam.
He falls in love with Adam.
He falls.
completely. I
Thank
saw
you.
that.
Thank.
He
Oh
did,
my
he
God.
did.
Thank you for
Yes,
saying it
yes,
because he
yes,
fell in love with Adam.
absolutely. He did.
I felt
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no,
I
that
felt
was
it. I
absolutely
was like,
very clear to me. I think it was very clear.
romance.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. And I love how
Yeah, Joel, it was so soft. It was so
how
cute.
true and authentic it
yes.
was. Yeah.
So him and Adam, who's one of the workers, he's
Yeah.
from Africa. Again, they don't say
getting
where.
a point from us.
Again,
Dad did this for us,
yes,
guys.
Yes. So he's from, even South Africa was name dropped.
Yes!
They're like, so many Australia's underwater, South Africa, all the coasts. I was like,
Chile,
not us.
South Africa. I was like,
Not
not
us
even
again.
one African country but us.
Anyway, we are a coastal city, so fair. But
Yes.
a coastal country, but fair. So Adam, he falls in love with, but all of them become friends. They're building this thing.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're building
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
They're building,
What's
they're
the
building.
chemical?
And the chemical. So they get sick from toxins that are biohazard.
Yeah.
So what the thing is that during
they have a
excavation,
long-term
it's
effect.
toxic. Yeah, it's toxic when you're excavating,
Yes.
but after excavation, it's fine.
Yeah.
So he's
effects
like,
are not
one of my
now.
workers are sick. Trent is like, we're flagging this. I'm flagging this with the architect. You need to do something.
We don't
And he's
care.
like, give everybody the night off. I'm gonna make a plan. And he goes
Giving Marikana.
the next day.
It's giving
He goes,
Marikana. It's
Hey.
giving Marikana.
hey. He goes back the next day. IT clips. It doesn't want to clips.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you don't have access. You're fired. Forget
Yeah.
all about all of this.
Yeah.
Just forget about all
Yeah.
of this.
These people are
And then he's
powerful.
like, but these people are
Sinatra.
gonna die though. And like, you're not gonna tell them.
Yeah.
They think they're getting paid well, and they are getting paid well to build this thing because billionaires are funding it. But they're not gonna have time to enjoy their money because they are going to die
No
from
amount
these
of money.
toxins
No
at some
amount of
point.
money.
You can already see people are starting to
Yeah.
get sick.
Yeah.
But again, rich people, bottom line, they don't care.
He
they
ends up
fire
in
him.
jail,
He ends
though.
up in jail. So he assassinates the president.
Yes, he
Because
tries. He
he's
has an assassination
I
attempt.
want
That's how
people
it
to know.
is.
The world deserves to know.
Yes.
And then Xavier jumps in and
Yeah,
takes the bullet for
you
the
know,
president,
for the president.
like the Secret
And
Service
it's like,
bodyguard he
oh.
is. And again, then he ends up there because he goes to jail for that.
Mm.
And then even when he's on the phone with Adam, he's like, isn't it funny that the most dangerous prison or like the most top security
Is in
prison is in
Colorado,
Colorado, not that far away from this
yeah.
little cave.
This I need to
little
do.
thing
This
that
is
we
for
built.
me.
So this is I'm gonna vindicate
Yeah.
all of us, all of you guys who are sick. And at that point, Adam is dying. Adam is like,
Adam is
I'm
dead
on
and
my
gone at that
deathbed.
Yeah.
Most of them, if not all of them, have probably died at that point
they
from
have.
like overtime, just being under there and working on this thing. And then
And he decides to take on the mission. He
yeah,
goes
so he's
in
like,
disguise.
I'm being a missionary.
He's
He shaves his
like,
head.
yes,
He shoots the librarian. He
Yeah.
finds Maggie,
Yeah.
who's crying in her car. She's like, I've
Yeah.
done nothing with my life.
Yeah.
Came here, they said the world's ending.
Maggie,
I'm just here to
hey?
smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then she goes up there and she's a waitress. She's serving loaded
Those
fries.
Yeah.
And whatever, and
Famous
that's
loaded
like
fries.
the famous loaded fries, and that's
Yeah.
kind of her thing, and that's how she also gets found
Yeah.
out because it's like the real Maggie, she needed an EpiPen. You are,
Yeah.
and then
But
the
it's
whole
also-
thing unfolds.
Yeah. It's interesting when he goes down there on this mission with the sidekick. He then also
Gets comfortable.
Yeah, he gets comfortable. He's like, hey, maybe I do deserve to just live life. And that's also just the effect of this underground cocoon is that
Yeah.
it's actually so cool. It's comfortable.
Yeah, and we didn't die.
They've even recorded the sound of birds. They've mimicked
Everything,
nature.
everything,
They've mimicked,
everything.
They've mimicked the trees and the sky. They
plants,
write the correct
sunrise,
lighting condition
sunset.
for a day. But I mean, you cannot photocopy
weird.
the sun though. Let's just be
You
honest
can't.
about
You
that.
can't. But it's weird. But
But-
his whole like, do you not think? Because I thought maybe a part of him felt like I helped build this. Out of
Yeah,
everyone, I have a right to be here.
Yes, absolutely.
I quite literally helped build this.
Absolutely. But
More
I
than
feel like
anybody
he
else.
was
Oh,
going
man.
for the president. He was going to
He
kill the
was.
president.
He was.
And then he forgot.
And then
he
was
got
like,
to the library and he
did
loved the library.
Oh, wait. Oh, pause.
Yes.
We must talk about the library.
Yeah.
And the use of like, the fact that the secrets were hidden in a library.
Yeah,
the fact that
perfect.
people don't use
The
libraries
man
anymore. So it's
who
like
kept.
the man who kept the
Yeah,
secrets.
yeah.
But it's also like no one will think that the
To go
numbers on the
and look for
cigarettes
the
are the
thing.
Dewey Decimal
Yeah,
System.
yeah,
No
yeah.
one will think to look in the library because people aren't really using the library like that. And the library, even like rewatching some of the episodes, they show you so many times because they focus on the worker's uniform, even on
Yeah.
him as a librarian. He's in almost every episode.
He is. He is.
But it's like he's
But in
there,
the
but he's not. He's in the
background.
background. And it's always the person that's like,
Yeah.
there, but they're not there.
Yeah,
They're
the
just in the
unassuming,
background.
the unassuming.
Even Kyle goes in his gown to go
Absolutely,
write
to
down
create
the
the
secrets,
playlist.
to burn a mixtape.
Yeah.
They have all this archived media, the CDs, the records, the
yeah.
people must remember Earth.
Yeah.
And even that exercise, I'm like, that's crazy. Who decides which books, which CDs, which vinyls,
Exactly. Go
what you
into
get to
this
keep,
library.
what's
What is
important
the
enough to
history?
stand the test of
What's the
time? What are
agenda?
we
You know?
keeping?
Yeah. Crazy.
That's also crazy.
But I mean, I'm
So
shocked.
everything,
I'm
all
shocked.
the secrets are in the library, which
I'm
again on the
shocked
nose.
that he then kills Cal. Because Cal is not, you know, like
He's
it was
not
so
the bad guy.
misguided. He's not the
He's
bad
not
guy.
the bad guy.
Such a misguided thing, but it's also just
Yeah.
like so human. So
Because
human.
he
It's
was
such
like,
it's this
you're the
human
one
era.
on top.
It's the human era that comes
Yes.
with that kind of narrow vision, and it's just so perfect, you know.
And it-
because here we
oh,
are killing the
man.
president, and everyone could have killed the president. There are so many suspects.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's a
Sinatra is
whodunit.
suspect number one.
Or it's like it could have even
But
been
it's just this
Xavier.
guy
And it's just this guy. And
who
even with the guy,
is-
as you said, it's misguided because it's like, yes, he's the president, but he doesn't have the power.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. He didn't know half
like
of
this-
what was going on.
this
That's not the
veil.
person who should be killed.
Yeah, it's like there's this veil.
His dad should be
that
killed first.
And it's interesting, a comment on that there is always such an agenda with the media that there is
Yeah.
a veil that we don't understand.
know.
There is secrets. There's national secrets of, you know.
You need clearance. It reminded me, not gonna lie, of Scandal and the whole B613
Yeah.
thing that like
Yeah.
there's government as we know it, but there's
Yeah.
definitely an underground
Absolutely. Secret
system and
service,
secret
CIA.
service and
we
beyond
live,
CIA.
you
they
know,
are the
we
people
live
that-
okay with that. We
Yeah.
live
It's
okay
like,
with the
cool.
fact that, okay,
Cool.
there are secrets happening in the ether. Yeah, deadly,
Yeah.
crazy secrets, you know?
Yeah,
And it's like, but
again,
it's not
like,
the president's fault.
yeah, and it's like you're gonna kill him, but to what end now?
Yeah. To what end?
And I think he did recognize that after the fact.
Because then he then killed himself.
Yeah.
And he outed
Oh,
himself.
wait, but we must talk about the speech that he had about like one, how the people who built this place weren't invited, which was so incredibly sad. That like you didn't
Yeah.
even think to make
You
houses.
didn't even think.
You didn't even think to
I
give them
mean,
shelter
the
in
fact
this thing that
the
they
fact
built. You didn't
the
think
fact
about
that
it.
you didn't even care for their health.
No.
They were never going to make
No.
it here.
They
by
weren't part of the
default.
plan.
By
You were
default.
like, I don't care about them.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then how he said before he jumped, he was like, this whole paradise thing. They could have built it. They had a chance to do it over, and they had a chance to build this differently, but they
But
made
they
it
did the same
exactly the
thing.
same.
But
They gave the rich people big houses.
Yeah.
They left everyone else. They made
Yeah.
people workers. And I was like, again, that's also sad because the world has ended. Money doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You don't need to have. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
It's not about the money. It's about
not
the
about
ideas.
yeah. So it's
about
like
the
you
beliefs and
still
the
want the
attitudes.
idea
They remain.
of this American dream and like,
Hey?
and then even how he said he was gonna like throw himself like all the bodies and all the lives that were sacrificed. He's gonna be buried with them. It felt very slavery and like the people who chose to jump ship versus
yeah.
getting into chattel slavery and all of that. But I was just like, yeah, they really could have done this differently.
Yeah.
And it is quite
it's an
sad that they
thing.
didn't.
I love the,
Man.
the dystopian
Yeah.
commentary throughout, like just
Like the world.
poking just killing the balloon, the whole like the dream of, because it's like privilege or equality is not, it's not something that people want. People want privilege. People want power. They don't want for everyone to have power. They want to be able to exercise their power, and it's like they go underground wanting still to, have that hierarchy, be like, like boss still.
We're still the top dogs.
Yeah. Because if you can create, a world, surely you would make it equal.
Yeah. But then
But why
creating
would
the
you wanna
world
make it equal?
makes you feel like you have a God
Yes,
complex.
yes.
Because you
That was
created the sun.
Sinatra.
Do you know what I mean? So she had this weird God complex.
Huge God complex.
And it's like, I made this. I can decide who dies, who lives.
Yeah.
If we're saving people on Earth. Because even at the end, how we found out like 15 million people are above. We don't know what state they're in.
I always
like-
believed that.
Yeah, 'cause
come
I'm
on.
like, come
when they said
on.
that, when they said that, you know what? You don't know the conditions upstairs.
Yeah.
Upstairs, and the fact that it's third world
know.
conditions. I'm like, wait.
You don't know that.
People can still live in the third world. People can still live in the third
Hello.
world. And the fact that it's more people up there still.
Yes. But for them, they're like, those people are going to ruin our little
Yes,
town.
absolutely.
So we'd
Our
rather
little
just
town
kind of
here.
leave them there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I had so many questions. I was like, even the football field worth of alcohol.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on this underground plan? Because it's like, they've been there for 3 years.
Mm.
Carl was the first murder, but Billy was the second. The librarian Trent was the third. Splattered on someone's roof.
Yeah.
Ugh. But it's also like, the illusion is gone.
Yeah.
And even how they showed when Gabrielle and Agent Robinson,
Oh, yes.
how
Yes.
they were like looking through everyone's files, and how some of the people, she was like, this one hasn't left the house in months, he has PTSD, and like
How they
people are
found
still
Maggie.
like people are still not grand
Yeah.
at the fact that like Earth is done, people you love have died, and now you're here in this weird place.
But it's interesting,
And it's
like, that people
sunny
can
and bright
adapt.
and happy.
People
And some people can adapt.
People are adaptable if you
Yeah.
give them something, if you give them incentive. Like people can
Yeah.
adapt to even the most. Like people can
Yeah.
lie to themselves. You can just rationalize
Because
things.
even the librarian
just
was
put
like,
a pretty picture
"This is
and
fine.
lights on in front of it. Like
It's
you
fine.
know,
It's cool.
hey,
I'm comfortable. I mean, Maggie's my pretend wife. She's making the fries. I'm at the library. Like, that's cool. This is cool.
yeah,
It's fine.
Agent Robinson. Yeah,
Hey,
interesting. I do want
sleeping with
to
the
look.
president.
Yeah. And I mean, she fell in love with him.
She
and
did
I
fall in
think-
love with him.
And I think
Hard.
she was like, she to this day is like, I'm still wanting to like avenge his death. I really loved him.
Oh, but you know what? It's it's interesting because she's a badass.
she
I
is him.
really enjoy her.
She is.
And I like the way that they framed her as well, because it wasn't just, she wasn't weak-willed. She was in charge of getting people
She was.
down to the bunker.
Yeah.
She
In
was
the
like
beginning, she was right there.
shooting people if she
Yeah.
had to. She, again, fell in love with Cal, but she still knew her worth and was like, we can't keep doing this. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that you love me when you're drunk. Like, tell me when you're sober. And unfortunately, that was the last
Absolutely,
conversation
yeah.
they had.
And he was, and that was so sad because
so
his
sad.
his son,
'Cause his
had
son
stood
dumped on
stood
him.
up.
His dad dumped on him.
Yeah, so it
She
wasn't
kinda dumped on
necessarily
him.
real.
And then it was like,
know?
ooh,
Yeah,
then he
and she was the
died.
first suspect, I remember, because her
Yeah.
earrings were right there.
The earrings, pretty earrings, but the earrings were there, yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder then, looking back, if Trent, the librarian, knew that or orchestrated that. Did he orchestrate it?
No, he didn't.
It was
So
just
remember what
like-
happened is that she came for a sleepover.
Yes.
And then
Left
they
her
had the
earrings
fight. And
Oh,
then
and it
she
was just
left.
like they
So she
left
had
there.
just
So
left
it was
the
just a
earring. It was
lucky
completely innocuous.
kind of
like,
thing.
okay, I'm leaving. I'm upset. I'm
Yeah.
leaving. It wasn't like, I'm taking all my
So
things and I'm
that's
leaving.
why.
So it was completely innocuous.
Because the crime scene
threw off the
did
crime scene.
look
Yeah, like a lava spat gone
orchestrated.
sideways.
It
Because
did.
even the glass that was on the floor that you thought maybe was Cal's was actually Trent's.
Yes.
Because he had a drink. After he killed him, he was like,
did.
oh, I need a drink. And then he had a drink. And then he
Yeah.
saw that he didn't really kill him. He
Yeah.
just hit him on the head and then he bashed him again.
Yeah, that was hectic. That was hectic. I was
Also,
upset.
do you know what is so crazy? That he wore the uniform again with the flower on the back. Did you catch that? When he killed the
Who?
president,
Okay.
the librarian, he put the uniform,
Wow.
he put it back on
Wow.
to do the crime.
Yeah,
So
he
I
was
like,
deep in
you
there.
are
He
in
was
this
hatred.
thing.
He was hating. Absolutely. Like, wow. Yeah.
Hick, tick.
Yeah, no. Dan.
Oh,
he killed
Dan.
it.
No, he did his big one.
Drops.
What a great first season of a show.
Mike, yeah. I can't wait. I can't even imagine what's gonna happen
So
in the
many
second
questions.
what's
I even
gonna
wrote down, I'm
happen.
like, what do I want to know? What do I want to know? There are a lot of things that I want to know.
Because I also think of Presley. Poor Presley.
Why did she steal that tablet? Oh, I want to know in season 2. As for Jeremy becoming a freedom fighter, now at the end,
Yeah, inspired by the
Inspired by his
dad's
dad. Fight for freedom. He's going to tell the people. And
you know.
I kind of like that. I do
Okay.
want to know if the power is going to flip or how. I want to see the
Yeah.
power shift.
Yeah.
I do want to see the power
Yeah.
shift with Sinatra and Cal. I want to see.
and
I want to see a
Xavier,
backstory on how that played out.
Yes, absolutely.
And then obviously we want to see what Xavier finds on Earth.
Yeah, I wonder
'Cause
because he's out to get his wife
He's
now.
out to get his wife.
Yes.
And again, the time thing, the lapse thing with him flying the plane because his dad used to be a pilot. And then his
the
dad,
the
and he
dad
wanted to be a
storyline.
pilot, but then his eyesight, it felt very
Oh
Jack,
my
like Jack wanted to
God,
be in the military, but he had the heart
yes,
problem, and then he went to go and save
absolutely.
Nikki.
Even
and
the
then-
music.
The music.
the
I feel like
score,
he used the
song.
same. I feel like he used the same person for the
same
score. 'Cause it
Even-
put me
even
in
the
my
tone,
feels
even
again.
the tone, you know, there's that like sunlight thing that he does.
Yeah.
That sunlight glare that he does.
And like even
the
the
cinematography.
grade and the
Yes.
darkness,
This
like
is
in the
us.
darker night
Yeah.
scenes,
Yeah.
it
yeah.
did feel like him.
Yeah.
You
Shall
could
we
feel that
rate
it's him.
it?
Let's rate it. Let's rate this thing.
Let's rate it. Okay.
Okay. So
Stereotypes. Okay, well, yeah. Do
Ooh.
black women pander to even the slightest stereotypes? I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I even think of Preston,
Yeah.
like you said, the daughter
even
and Dr.
Terry, even Terry.
and Terry and Agent Robinson.
Yeah, Presley as
All
well.
of them very cool.
Yeah.
I
Their
mean,
own characters.
Presley shot her shot with Jeremy.
Hey, Billy said, "Shoot your shot."
Oh, and she did.
Oh, and she did.
She landed the net to that broody boy.
Yeah,
With his daddy issues.
Jeremy,
Also the
I'm
generational,
on the fence
generational
about.
daddy issues. Because Jeremy has
Yes.
daddy issues, but so does Cal.
Yeah,
About the
yeah.
dad.
Absolutely.
Did you see how they
That
did that?
kind of like.
It just
And it's interesting. Cal says, "Oh man, I love Cal. I absolutely
I know,
love
it's
him.
so
Actually,
sad.
I actually love that Dan created that kind of like that original love for a president, where you're just like, oh my gosh, I just
Yes.
love this guy. Like he's
Yeah.
just a fabulous guy.
wholesome, very
And he's
JFK coded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we like you. You're a man of the
Yeah,
people.
yeah, you're, like,
you know,
charming, man
even
of
how he
the
did the
people,
second,
buddy.
the second. You know how they did the pre-recorded speech for the end of the world, and he was like, "No, let's do it live."
Yes,
People deserve to
absolutely.
know.
People deserve to know
People
how he
deserve
was
to
like,
know.
how he was personal with his
Yeah,
staff,
and he
with
knew
his
people's names, and everyone was like, "You know, my
poor
yeah,
man."
yeah."
And he's like to his son, you know, the things that you love. I think the things that you love, you are. And so you are me and I am you. And I think that's what inspires him. I think that's what inspires
yeah.
rude
tell
old
the
asshole
truth
Jeremy, because they abused Cal, hey?
No, they really did.
I was like, oh my God.
It was
How
not
hectic.
great. It was not great.
Oof.
And again, I think of the fact that all
Standing
he
with
wanted to
Dad
do
up, he
is
made
be
pasta
an
from
English.
scratch.
He made pasta from scratch. All he wanted to do was be an English teacher and call it
Oh,
a day.
that was also just like so
Like,
endearing for me. I was like,
Ah.
what a human being. What a human
Yes,
being. we
and
have
again,
here.
what a reminder. Again, I really do love that they kept the secrets in the library as a reminder to
Yes.
read
Yeah, no one's gonna do
literacy.
that anymore. Yeah.
You know,
No.
that's where you find information.
Yeah.
And the secrets.
So
Okay,
stereotypes.
So no stereotypes. They
no
scored
real.
well,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, absolutely. They really are. Relationships. Is there at least one strong relationship between black women that's not fueled by romance? There isn't.
There isn't. So this is interesting because we didn't see black women in scenes
It's
together.
not, yeah. But I do want to have a conversation about race. How
okay.
does race, because there is a choice being made here about Xavier.
Selection process
Yes,
as well.
about
Even with the people who end up down there.
even the people who
Yes.
Adam and them who didn't, the miners who are black. So
Yes.
there's still a coding. There is still
In
a
race,
racial,
yeah.
a racialization.
Trent being the project
Yes.
manager.
Yes,
Yes,
you know. So it's interesting
yeah.
to me, and Xavier and Terry being this like quintessential black couple. They are black, they
Yeah.
are black, you know.
Yeah.
And the kids, you know, it's just
The
it's
braiding of the
interesting.
hair.
Yes,
Because
the
I remember somebody
braiding.
asked on Twitter, actually, they were like, how is Presley's hair always done? Is there a hair?
Listen,
Is there a
because
braider
nobody
down there in
talks
Paradise?
about.
But one of the writers actually responded and she was like, no, there is. There's a hair salon and a barbershop.
Is there?
So she said it's,
We didn't see it.
or like she showed a thing basically saying like it's in the background.
Yeah,
It's there.
yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
You can write it.
We
in.
just can't
Yeah,
like
you're
literally
just
see
gonna-
it, but like it, yeah. It's
Yeah.
there. Which
So
is
it's
interesting because it's like they did put in the black characters felt black.
Yeah, the black characters felt whole. They felt complex. Absolutely.
Which again is the
And I
thing that
think it was
Dan can do well because even in This Is
Yes.
Us, Beth was written very well.
100%.
Deja
And-
was written well.
And Cal chose Xavier because he was black.
Also that.
Yes, he
and
was like,
yeah, even
I
the
need a
thing that
black
his
guy.
wife said. Remember
Yes.
when his wife was talking to him, the first lady, I think it was after he died before the funeral or something, and she was like, "Oh, he was so excited to have you on his team for basketball."
Yes,
and then
basketball.
he realized you sucked, and then
Yes.
she was like, "Cal was a little," and he was like racist, and then they both like had a laugh about it, and I'm like,
I love that. I love just,
Yeah.
I love,
You
I
still
love
said the thing.
acknowledging and recognizing blackness, but
you said
not
the thing.
making it a black campaign,
yes,
right? Like it is just
Yes.
about,
It's about people.
yeah, it's about people. It's about people,
Yes.
you know?
And again, the black guy's the hero.
Yeah, the
Which
black
we
guy's the
always
hero.
enjoy.
The black
We
guy's
always
the hero.
enjoy.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, they're doing so well. Okay.
Yeah. Bodies.
Bodies
It's
on
interesting. Oh my
bodies.
gosh.
Do you know what?
It's such I wouldn't I mean it's not in the sense it's not in the sort of feminist sense that
No.
we often or we usually look at, but it's such a like this kind of crowds, this like massive like what do we do with crowds? What are we doing with these people? Because you have
Yeah.
you have the selection process of these people like who come down here, but we also have this idea of these like people you know at the in the real world. So it's like this mob, this crowd vibe that I was like nation bodies. Like what does it mean to be a collective? What does it mean to be a collective?
And
you know?
also, like, how are we framing or how do we want everyday people to look like? Which was kind of interesting to
How
explore.
do we want everyday
But
people
then
to
at
look
the same
like?
time-
Normalcy. How do we create
But
normal?
then at the same time, in the normalcy, people were had because I'm sorry, Gabriella and Xavier and her like,
Gabriella, the
I'm
therapist?
seducing you, Miss Seducing scheme in the shower to tell him the secrets. I was like,
yeah. But we
and I mean, Sterling K. Brown, not a terrible man to look
Hot
at. Just
today, okay,
Yeah.
chocolate.
What a beautiful chocolate man.
Okay. But there was the waitress who was eating
Yes.
her. Yeah. So there was a
yeah. So it's
yeah. So bodies.
So I'm kind of like,
Yeah. For the
where are
bodies.
the Africans? What are the
Where
queer
I
stories?
mean, listen, there was a
They
nice
were-
touch.
yeah.
There was a nice touch. It wasn't a queer or African story at all, but it was.
But it was there.
It was
It was
there.
like
In a
also
normal way.
what also felt on the nose. Everyone's nickname for Adam was Wakanda.
Yes.
Also, I was like,
yes. And there was that moment between Trent and Adam when they were meeting and the food.
the food
and
the food
yes, and the naming. That was just
Yes.
Damn,
also, I
the
bought them the beer.
naming.
Also,
It's-
how we bought them the beer, and he was
Yes.
like, "I went to the African shop to
and
like
how,
5 of them
and
to
how
find this."
Adam
Yeah.
Adam becomes Adam. That's not his name. It's just that
Yes,
Trent couldn't
it's the
pronounce
shorthand of his-
name. And I was like, this is so
And he was
cool
like,
to
"You tried.
acknowledge
You tried."
the things that black people are going to be like, yay, don't pronounce my name like this, you know? Like, so there was a nice nod.
I'm like,
There was
did
a
I-
nice nod. But also in the way that queers
Abduram.
and blacks will be the minorities.
Yes.
Always and every
Abduram
way.
is his full name.
Okay.
And then everybody just said Adam.
Adam. Yeah. So that it was interesting because it's like the queers and the Africans and the are minorities anyways and in the storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So finally, range of complexity and humanity.
Oh, we got it. We got
You know
it.
what?
We got it.
Dan
from everybody.
Fogelman wrote the book on range of complexity and humanity. He wrote
Honestly,
it. He wrote
did. Even that final phone call with Terry and Xavier.
I'm holding you, babe. I'm holding you. I'm holding you.
And she's just like, just be a good dad for them. Like, I don't regret anything. I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Also, he's very good at crying on cue.
He is.
Oh my gosh. What a great actor.
Yes, what a great actor. Sterling K. Brown, guys.
Give him an
Please,
Emmy.
Black Sterring Award. He's getting like,
He's really good.
give him an Emmy. Does he have awards like
Glory
Sterling?
to you, said no, he has so many awards.
Yeah,
Like,
he really
has a
does.
lot,
Like
yeah.
he is
but for good
so,
reason, he's so
the
good.
royalty at this point. He is so good, man.
He was really good.
Yo, what are we rating it?
Oh,
Fries.
I am
Okay,
giving
I'm
this fries.
out the door.
Oh, I'm giving it fries.
Fries. The fries that they have over there.
Super crispy.
The super crispy cheese
The ones
fries,
that you want
the
to
loaded
start
fries.
eating at the bottom of the bag.
Yeah,
when they
absolutely.
spill out of the
Oof.
bag. No, it was really good. This for me was one of like the best shows that I've seen in a while, actually.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it was captivating from start to finish.
Yeah, it was.
Which
It
was
definitely
nice.
It definitely was.
Yeah, I know
And
people
the
were very
sci-fi bit
wonky
of it.
about the final episode not being as good as the penultimate, like the day.
Oh, I see.
But I was like, that's also fine because you can't top.
You can't.
And like the
there's
pacing,
there's a curation.
The
yes.
pacing was
yes.
really nice.
Absolutely.
The pacing was really
The storytelling always worked. Always worked. So
yeah. I was never like,
Surprised.
I was always like, yo,
absolutely. And I was always
Again, even
surprised. I was
as you
always
said,
surprised. I was
a
always surprised.
sci-fi.
Yes.
What's going to happen next?
Yeah, you know.
I have so many questions. What are they going to do with Earth? In
What
season
are they
2,
going to do with Earth?
how
What
are we
they gonna
showing
do with
Earth? What's it? And I'm glad again because this isn't like one of the annoying streaming things. We're already prepping season 2. We don't have to wait 3 years or whatever. Like they're already on it, scripting, filming. Like
Awesome.
we're already, it's approved. We're moving.
so
we're not
nice
gonna
for
get it
Dan
in like
Fogelman.
3 years or
Hey?
whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
coming soon.
It's coming
which is
soon.
nice.
Yeah, we're not going to forget.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So great.
So great.
Watch Paradise.
Watch Paradise, guys.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.